Welcome everyone to today's analysis video. I'm Toby. You guys, for those who've come before, you know how it works in here. For those of you guys who don't, we are doing analysis over the map stream here for the next 5 games. It's day 1 of week number 3, was played yesterday. And for those of you guys wondering, oh my god, what is this program? How do I get it? How can I use it? I will throw a link in the description below, so you can jump down and get all that info if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, so let's get straight into it. If you're watching on Twitch, what you can do is you can do !program. There should be a link to it as well. We'll get straight into it. Game number 1 of day number 1 of week number 3. I'm still waiting for that military game. And quick not the disclaimer, quick info, I didn't watch any of these games yesterday, so so this is all new to me as well. This is all new to me. I'm planning on watching the games tonight, other than, of course, doing this. But I didn't get to watch any of the games yesterday. So it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And let's now see, are we having any surprises here right off the bat? Guys, tell me. You've been with me for so long, some of you. Is there anything here that isn't the way it normally would be? I'm looking at all of you, expecting you to tell me if there's anything here that is something we have not seen before. If you're out there on YouTube, you can take a little second to think about it as well. No, there is not. Pretty much everything is straightforward, assuming that Navi will go over to North George. Well, actually they don't, because they see the circle, so I guess that makes sense. Seems like Redcrant will go on down. Red Diamonds looting military, they've opted to go there. NIP, they've been kicking out knights from Lipovka a couple of times before, and now we got CC and Navi fighting over a compound somewhere. Red Diamonds, they've been military a couple of times before, so not that surprising that they're down there. But of course, what we have here, for those of you guys who haven't been watching along, because I mention this every time, is a little sea snake. It looks like a snake, right? You have like the head up here. You have the water going through, and of course, if you want to go north in this circle, you don't want to cross bridges anywhere, if you can avoid it at least. So what you want to do, and what you're expecting to do, is see all these teams that are over here on the eastern side do something like that to make their way on up to the circle. Because you want to be close to the water. We keep talking about this. You want to be close to the water, so that whenever the circle does guarantee, because it could still go down here, right? So whenever the circle does guarantee which side it's going to be on, then you can quickly get across. Because if you have to fight around the water, it's just chaos, and you don't want to be forced into that situation. So you see most teams opting to stick somewhere around the water here. Some will take compounds further north, and the reason for this is, the reason people take the compounds further north as well, is that first of all, they have a lot of rotation opportunities out. A lot of the compounds are really isolated. For example, if you look at the barn up here where we have Ents sitting, barn in the compound northeast of it, it's really hard to, I mean, first of all, you can cover your vehicles really easily, and it's really hard for other teams to do anything to you without you knowing. Like, a team cannot, well, they could push up on foot here without you spotting them. You can't get breached without you knowing at least like 10-15 seconds in advance, because you'll both see the vehicles and you'll hear them too from a far distance. And yeah, all in all, that's pretty useful. So that's a reason they'll take these compounds. Also because should the circle go north, then there aren't a lot of compounds available up here. You have these two, you have something down here in the granny, then you have the yellow house, and you have the doubles, and then everything else is like open-ish positions if you want to be in this area, right? We've seen a lot of games end up here, so it makes sense to take them, because it's much easier, I would say, to go from north this way than try and traverse up here later in the game. So it makes perfect sense. That that they opt to take the positions a little further north of the river than what we would see if had it been down here, for example. Like the circle had centered in that area. Face all the way up around Kameshki. We've seen that happen before. They got 3 bikes and a Dacia, so they can rotate quickly. Windstrike, they're coming in north around. We've seen that happen a billion times before as well. Red Diamonds hugging the west coast. NIP camped face rotation. Huh. No, they didn't. They were just rotating. They could have. They could have camped it. I mean, I don't think they camped it. It was only NBS, I guess, who was really in a spot to do any damage. And I mean, they could have set up. They talked about it on the stream. Well, I mean, they looted here, right? Do you have NIP looting in you have NIP looting Lipovka, the Heaven compound, and then up here. They've split this way a lot of times before. So whenever the vehicles from FaZe are here, like even here, Gaxi will hear them. Like Gaxi and Vart will hear them, and they'll be running up, and they'll of course give the info across. You can see as soon as they hear it, NBS starts moving, right? He just full on sprints. He's probably driving. I don't know how he can move so fast without a vehicle. But sprinting down here to set up a blockade. But it's a one-man thing. And if it's 4 vehicles coming in, you can see neither of these guys shoot. Miraku doesn't shoot. It's only NBS who really gets into a position where he can do anything. And then he tries to spray down one, but doesn't happen. I mean, obviously it was on purpose. It was. I don't think they ever went here. I don't think they stayed because they planned to do it, but when they heard because they rotate out late, they were rotating late. And because of that, because had they planned it, like had it been we're staying here to ambush FaZe, then Miraku would have been down by the road. Gaxi and Vard would not have been inside the compounds and houses. They would have been up by the road as well. And they would have had like a triple layer, like triple stage opportunity to shoot at them when they were driving through. The only people that shot at them, I think Miraku fired a few shots and MBS set up here, right? So had it actually been planned from the start that with this circle they wanted to stay to get the to block the rotation, then I think they would have executed it much better. Whereas to here, I think it was more of a, you could see Vard in the vehicle, where as soon as they hear the vehicle, oh, jump out, get ready. These guys cannot get in position in time. They call it to NBS, who can get in position. And then it wasn't a planned thing as much as, oh, we have a chance to do something here. Let's see if we can execute it. And, well, I mean, it didn't work. So, it's both correct and incorrect in saying that they... Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you say somebody camps a rotation, like they're all committed and sitting and waiting for it, if you know what I mean. But clearly they had a chance and they tried to execute on it, but FaZe was just rotating too quickly for them to be able to do anything. But nice spot there, Theory. I didn't see that. And Circle goes south. Wow. Okay, so Circle hardships back south. That's interesting. Really interesting, actually. Because all of a sudden we talked about this, it's pretty easy to go south because you can just go all the way around if you have to. And would assume to see now that they have bikes that they would do something of the sort. At least go up over Stalber to push down and in from like the east side. I would not expect them to go over here because this area here is gonna be highly trafficked. And the issue with everyone else is that they know this bridge, and this bridge is gonna be held. As soon as Digital gets over, they have a chance to just set up shop here and wait for them. And same thing with Jokers, they could just stick around here and hold this bridge. So everybody knows that up here, that these two bridges are taken, and this one is scary because you can't really scout the gas station that well. You're gonna be in the open. If there's a team here still, well, then you're gonna be under fire. So majority of teams would probably go either cube or even further west to go back around. Maybe even all the way out to North George. Honestly, it's only circle 2, so you can pretty much do whatever you want if you have the meds for it. But yeah, I mean that's about it. Rotations over here, around of course Yasnaya, not into Yasnaya, and rotations over here is what I would expect to see. Navi try to crash through, that doesn't work. They lose 2 players. I mean, it's a, I would say unnecessary move because what they end up doing anyway is go into, they've already lost 1 player. And they end up going into apartments anyway. I feel like apartments, especially in a circle like this, you can always crash apartments. You can always get into apartments somehow. And they know, I mean, they were sitting here for a long time, right? They know that Jokers are in Rozhok. So it's a scary move to try and take that route through. Like unnecessarily scary. Because where they were sitting, they could have gone back where they came from and still crashed apartments and kept potentially all their players alive. So scary play, Battleland goes down. But of course, it is not over yet. There's plenty more circles to come in this game. Phase rotate back the exact same way they came from. Makes sense. Ends they go down south. I like the three-way split from TSM. Only issue is that Wookie, if he gets crashed, it's going to be hard for his team to do a whole lot. NIP is sitting well in it. Circle sent us up. And nice haircut. I didn't get a haircut. I just have my hair in a bun. It's not a haircut, Death Real. It's just I can do this if it helps you guys. If it makes you more, if it makes it any better. Is this better? You know what? I'll look like I normally do when we're doing this. It makes me feel more comfortable too. You know. This is what I always look like when I'm on stream. There you go. Now we're back to the old Toby. No more man bun Toby. Just old cap backwards cap Toby. There you go. I hope you guys like it. So in any case, south around ends. The fact that they get this compound is actually extremely well played. They go up to shelter. There's like a plateau up there you can sit on, or you can scout further forward. They look down here. They see it's taken. Chris is shooting over towards face as well. So that and that are no-goes. Again, they have bikes. They can rotate quickly. Boom. As soon as the new circle pops, they've been scouting in for a while. They don't see any vehicles north or south. It's pretty hard to get vehicles inside unless if you drive through on this side. So it's a risk that they take trying to crash it. And they do. Great play. Coming in from the south. Ends just rotate really smartly. I mean, they're really, really wise in their rotations. Forest is open. Ends will know that. Circle goes back. Liquid sitting dead center. Only thing here is that this area, pretty much like this, is completely open around the compound that Navi is in. So you can't really go through here without being shot at by a billion teams. Same thing goes down where Wookie is sitting in the little, like in Alamo down here. We can pretty much draw it up further actually. There's a dip up where Uba is. Like that is really, really open. And then of course you have up north. But these two areas you can't really go to if you don't have either the TSM spot or the Navi spot. And that's pretty big parts of the new circle popping. So everyone is forced to fight on the edges, which of course is gonna be well, pretty tricky. You see, Knights try to push in, ain't gonna happen. Too much pressure. We still have CC, M19 and NIP on the edge. NIP is gonna hold off both. But they're gonna get shot at from Liquid as well. Circle goes west. And I guess now we can just do that. Again, still extremely open area. And at this point of the game, that's the issue with these open areas. That at this point in the game, if you haven't already, I mean, sure, Liquid might have vehicles left still, and Ends has them because they're in the south compound. But if you're expecting to be able to drive from here up here somehow and make a vehicle fort anywhere with 42 guys alive in circles 6 or 5, then you're slightly optimistic. I mean, odds are that you will get exploded many times before you make it that far. And you can see here, Ends, they are indeed pushing up on foot, trying to third party. They hear that Raise Your Edge and the Vitality team is fighting. They clean up. Perfect play. Do they lose anyone? Nope, they had Rust and Ma knocked and stay alive with 4. That is a picture perfect push by Ends. They most likely spot out Vitality up the hill early, and then they, like, one makes the call to move. You can see immediately, boom, they push out, right? As soon as they see them. So they know now they have a 4-man wall in front of them, and whenever they get into a fight, they'll just come pushing in from behind and destroy them. Because that's what Ends can do, right? Ends, if they're 4 guys up, they have so much fragging power that they can do these sort of things. Base State 2-way split their spot down here in the open. They have like one tree and a little hillside to hide on. Bus goes down. 8C is stuck down by the trees. I think there are 2 or 3 trees down here. And if he has, what does he drive in? He has a bike. Okay, so no cover from that. And he has like a tree or 2 down here to hide in. Yeah, this is a scary push from Face. But I mean, the thing is that they hear the fight up here, which means they can't go that way. They've already lost 1 player, right? They get shot at by the compound, so they can't go that way. They know that NIP and TSM are fighting up here, so they can't go that way. I mean, FaZe are good at third partying, but there's nothing to third party here. Because if you try to take a fight down here, both the teams will just turn and fight you. If you go north, this is too much of a chaos. You won't be able to get any, you won't be able to know what's going on. So them trying to crash anything in the middle makes sense. It's just, as we talked about before, there's nothing to crash in there. There's nothing to take. So either you're going to send it all the way over to yellows, which would probably be a suicide mission as well, or you're going to do, as they said, split wide and then hope that one guy can sneak his way into a late game position. Red Diamonds are down south. They got pin knocked. He's probably going to go down. Oh, hello is actually going vehicle. Rusty goes in. Yeah, it's a really rough circle. You have cover down south from the hills that you can play from. Then you have the huge open field and the road cutting off. There are like some rocks and some few trees up around here that you can play from, but that's about it. Liquid gonna be forced out eventually. Chris tried to push through the compound, gets taken down. Ends again. Still, I was just gonna say 4 guys up. Digital, they're 4 guys up. They have a chance here. What did Digital do to get here? Okay, so they're sitting in the L compound for a long time. Northern hard shift. Somewhat northern shift. And then they push over and take out. Okay, so they take a fair fight. A little help from Samty coming in. But they take a fight onto NIP. Keep 4 guys up. Now they get hard shifted again. Okay, that's pretty fortunate. So first they get the hard shift. Because this circle, right? Boom. Hard shift on their compound means that the entire death push we saw with FaZe, like the push that all these teams had to go through, had this circle gone down south anywhere, Digital would have been in the exact same position that FaZe ended up being in, right? So they get the circle there, and then when they engage on the eastern side of this one, they get a new hard shift towards them. So 2 fortunate circles late game. That helps you a lot, of course, but happens. I mean, the circle has to go somewhere. Liquid tries to get somewhat of a center position. They have 2 vehicles to try and take them. FaZe eliminated. Sixmo tries to push up. Circle goes up to them again. They should have this. I like the way they're splitting. We haven't really seen them play with that much control previously, but the way they're splitting seems pretty good here. Of course, we can't see the exact trees and whatnot. But it's pretty smart. Samty steals 1. Iroh goes down. Now 2v1. Can he do it? Samty. And nope. Beautiful gets him. So Digital wins it. Impressive. Good game. They played really smart. They pushed out when they know, like they knew that M9 or that TSM and NIP had fought. And the players had gone down from both sides. So they tried to third party. They tried to third party when they had the chance. The fight got reset, but then they get to go in anyway before they've all healed up. So great timing on the third party. Good push across the road. Put yourself up into a position where you can take circle control. Have one guy look either side. And then they got their win. Like they knew the entire north side was clear, so they could play from that. Really smart play coming in from Digital. I like it. I like it. It's a little late, but yeah. You never know. You never know. There's still plenty of games to be played. But that was game number 1. Now we'll jump over to game number 2. Bring. Scroll your boat. There we go. Symbol of plane. And we're gonna pause it right here. Any surprises? No, we don't have any surprises here. No surprises. CC has been out here before. No one's melee, true, but we have Red Diamonds going up. They saw that NIP jumped Lipovka. And, well, I mean, NIP and Red Diamonds, they've been fighting. Not fighting up here before, but Red Diamonds has been taking Hospital, 2-man split, and then down south. But every time they see NIP go Lipovka, when there's a chance to go to go George, they'll go up here and take that spot. Makes perfect sense. Now we have an Eastern Circle, though. And this is going to be fun, because For a team like Red Diamonds, who knows that nobody loots melee, is there an idea in doing a raise your edge and cross over here? Could be, could be. The only team we've really seen gatekeep on the bridge has been Navi, and they're up north as well. So that's not going to be in a confrontation. We have CC out on the west side as well instead of going north. That makes perfect sense. But they'll have to make their way on over. And I guess the pushes that you'd get in. Oh, you're welcome, Deathrow. I'm glad you like it. If you guys watch the map that I made with all the dots on, then this is where we can start using them, right? You gotta always consider what you have available. Like if I'm trying to remember all the dots that I drew. We had one over here. We had one down here. We have one here. And there's one in the dip down here as well. So if you draw up these dots that we have now, and let's say that you are jokers, right? You're jokers and you want to rotate. Let's just do this real quick. Jokers, jokers, jokers. There. Let's say you're jokers and you want to rotate and you look at the map that I drew. Then what you can do from here, if you have an eastern circle, like we could draw in all the dots. I'm not going to spend time doing that now. But what you can do is you can go up. You already have Dimash up here. So these two dots don't really matter. If Dimash up here, he can go up to this spot. And then he can see what's available. Like he'll start looking around into Pachinki. Is anyone in there? Look anywhere else. And then he can call out, well, is this open? Maybe it is. I don't know. Is this open? Maybe it is. I don't know. But now we have a chance to say, okay, Mr. In-game leader, whoever it is, which of these two spots do you want to go to? According to this circle, do you want to play this circle from the bottom? Do you want to play it from the south? Do we know that the team around farm likes to go towards the center early in a circle like this? Do we know that they like to stick around on the edge to fight teams? If we know that the farm team likes to stick around, then maybe it's smarter to go north. Roger that. Then what we can do is we can scout up here. From up here, we can look like all the way in this direction, and then we can try and scout our way down here. There's actually one more dot down here. I'm just gonna plot it in. We can scout our way down here to then scout our way over here, and then from here you can see to these two. We'll draw it like that. You can see to these two and figure which way do you want to go. Good, we'll go down to shelter, and that way you can sort of jump your way into the circle from spots that might or might not be contested, but from the previous spot that you're sitting in, you'll be able to tell whether the next checkpoint, as I called it, what is happening to my microphone, whether the next checkpoint is going to be available or not. Does that make sense? So if you just constantly go from one step to the other, you can always backtrack, right? Because you have the availability to look behind you as well. You can always backtrack where you came from. So, it's pretty simple. It's complicated, but the idea is simple, which also means that it is, if it's easy to understand, it's possible to execute. It's not easy to execute, but it's possible to execute. Just, you gotta know, like, you gotta know the map. If you want to be a player playing at a high level, you gotta know the map inside out. Doesn't matter if it's Erangel or Miramar, you gotta know it. And you gotta know where all the dips are that you can get an advantage point from, and all those sort of things. And sure, it's harder on Miramar than it is on Erangel because the map is bigger and all those things, but that's how you gotta play it if you wanna have a good rotation on it. Will you start at NPL analysis since I joined Cloud9? No, that's not the plan. No, I'm just hired to do the Faceit event. At least that's the plan right now. Have I talked with Rust? Yeah, I actually played scrims with them yesterday. I was playing American scrims. I got a kill on a player from Tempo Storm. That's pretty cool. And then that was one game, and the other I only played with them 2 games. The first game I killed a Tempo Storm player, and in the other game I snuck my way. I was snaking the entire game because the teammates died, and I was snaking and I got 3rd place. I got 3rd place in a game. It's not only my performance, of course. It was like 90% the team, and then I was there as well. But yeah, I was there. I got 3rd place in an NPL scrim. That's pretty cool, if I should say so myself. It was fun. No, but let's go back and actually get into the game. But I hope it makes sense for those of you guys watching on YouTube as well. Have you seen my dotted map? Then that is how you want to use it. You want to, it's not, yeah, I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So, plane is up. As we just talked about, rotation is probably coming in on the south side, up and over the potato hill. And from north, it's going to be by the water, or there's not going to be any more rotation. You know what? Actually, I think let's see this. If I'm a proper analyst, then one thing we could see potentially would be wind strike. And this is going to seem weird when I say it, but wind strike, they could go like this and scout from up here. Let's just only look at wind strike real quick, just for the fun of it, just to see if I'm right. Wind strike. I just want to see if that's what they do. We'll just fast forward real quick. Have not seen the games, by the way. You know, you see what I mean? If you do your analysis, if you prepare yourself enough, imagine being a team captain that sits, because this is just one example, right? But that's only because they've been doing this so much. If you're a team captain and you know these things, if you like to sit north in whatever circle and you know for a fact, well, this is where we'll fight wind strike. Well, if we go here, this is where we'll run into these teams. If we go here, this is where we'll run into these teams. Then you can pick and choose, technically, which teams you want to be close to early game. So if you know that you prefer fighting against, I don't know, Vitality instead of Knights, or you like to fight M19 instead of Jokers, completely random thrown out names there, then with this sort of knowledge, you have a chance to pick and choose. Not all the time, of course. Teams do change up strategies, and I like when they do. But well, I mean, you have the chance to pretty much pick and choose more often than not, with proper preparation, who you're gonna go up against. So it's a good reason for you guys to watch my videos, do similar videos, not necessarily record them and talk to YouTube, but or chat on Twitch, but look for patterns. See, are they doing the same things over and over again? Okay, maybe if they are, then fix it. We talked about Raise Your Edge. They've been doing these rotations. They do it again. And who else came down here, huh? Who else came down here? I said if there's a team for Red Diamonds, they could start pull off a smart rotation by knowing that nobody's military, because they ain't there. Look what they end up doing. They go down to military, but they lose a player because Raise Your Edge is down there too. It's these things, guys. We just called out 3 teams' rotations. We just called out 3 teams, how they would rotate, not having watched the game yet. Off of us having seen previous things they've done and figuring out, like trying to get into their mentality and say, ooh, if it's this kind of circle, then they want to do this. Imagine being an in-game leader that has that info on, well, maybe not all the other 15 teams in the lobby, but a lot of them. It's pretty useful. It is pretty useful. And hey, Kroggy. So, Red Diamonds, they wanted to go south. Didn't work. Raise Your Edge gonna take boats over, I would assume. Maybe go all the way over the side. I'm not sure. Navi coming in from the top. Wind strike sitting on the eastern side. Circle goes pop. And it goes bound south. Okay, so this is interesting area as well. We have the small multi-power itself. And then we have a dip area up here. That isn't really on the map. We have some areas around the hills out here in the open. I'm just going to draw these up so that we'll draw them in orange. So they look a little different, at least from the team colors that are here. So we have a dip up there you can sit in. We have a spot down here you can play around. And then there are the small hills out and around here. And a rock formation over there. And also, of course, the wizard towers. But those would probably be the spots you could play around that aren't shown on the map. And then you have the hills. Like, we'll just call them H for hill. And D for dip. These are the spots that you can play around that aren't in... There's a hill over here as well, but that aren't actually compounds. If you know all these things, then you can position yourself accordingly, right? You see? Fast wheel goes up, takes the hill. M19 goes down, takes a dip. Windstrike coming over. Oh, we're going too fast here, that's why. Windstrike takes the spot. Liquid, they got themselves a good center spot. Yes, correctly. But it's a hard spot to hold. Teams can push up on you. Now, Windstrike tries to take the hill position. Windstrike has been rotating really smart this game. Really well this game. Look at this. Let's go back for a second. Look at Windstrike's rotation. They might not get kills, and this is why I don't see Windstrike at the top of the leaderboard. Because look at their rotation. They're sitting up here, right? How they rotate. They go out east, stop, scout. Out east, stop, scout. Timmy gets held off by ends. All the way down. Scout. Scout down here. It's taken. Cool, let's go back. Boom, let's go center. Take a new spot. And all of a sudden, they're inside the circle with 11 teams remaining. They might not have any kills so far, but they're in a good spot now. They kept 3 of their 4 players alive. And now they have a chance to, from inside the circle, start engaging teams. Or help third-party teams that are on the edges and stuff like that. Noki's by himself. It's gonna be tricky. You can see all the fights happening up north as well. That's 2 more points. Noki goes down, but still 2 guys up and inside the circle. Circle goes liquid once again. Phase 2 split all the time. 2 wizard. How long did they sit here for? Okay, so they're sitting split with the red houses, red 2 stories, and this. This split makes sense. Then they send 8 and Fuzz phase down to the wizard tower. But they know that they have digital in here, I would assume, because they came in with bikes, right? Yeah. So they know that they're down there.
Good afternoon, Toby. Happy 1 year.
Oh, Heinz. Thank you so much, man. 1 year. Holy cow. Can we get some love in the chat for Heinz? 1 year. That's insane. No, but just thrown off guard there for a second. Thank you so much, Heinz. What was I talking about? No, I lost track. Yes, sorry. But the fact that AC and Phosphate sit down here means that in order for Mexi and Uber to cross, they need to have all of digital completely isolated because they have a pretty clear shot over towards them. So they need to get some knocks here. I think if FaZe got some knocks onto either of these players, that then they would commit a push on it. Like then they would push. But right now it's a stalemate, right? They can't cross and these guys can't peek because they're holding. So it's just nobody can move out of these 2 teams. We'll just go forward again to where we were before. Circle goes north. NIP tries to push in. They realize that FaZe are split, but doesn't really work the way they want it to. 2v2 up here. Buzzface gets knocked. This is a nice play. Nice play by Digital. Look at the awareness. Look at the awareness. Okay, so Fuzzface gets a kill, or whoever else gets a kill, up here. This means that Digital knows that it's FaZe that are sitting here. They also saw them push around the side, and they took this position, right? So they know for a fact, Digital knows for a fact that they're in a 2-way split. They know that they're sitting 2-2, right? And look at what happens next. Samty, from over here, gets a knock onto Fuzzface. They see this in the kill feed, and now they know NIP still have players live over here, meaning that neither Uba or Mexi can do anything. We're 4 guys alive, and 8C is now alone in the shack. Right now, the only thing that's keeping Digital from peeking out anything, take control on the hill, is the fact that they have people is the fact that they have people sitting in the compound right next to them. So immediately they push over and they take them out. And look at the amount of space they got now. Off of the kill on these 2 players, they got so much space now all of a sudden. All of FaZe dies, and they can now take full control of the north. This is type of playing that we haven't seen from Digital a whole lot coming into this week. So glad to see them stepping up in the final week. Like really impressive reaction from Digital. They take out entirety of TSM. And once again, ends Liquid and Digital in the end game. It is a nice move, and it's those small things you don't. I mean, those are the small things that the observers might not catch, and therefore the casters won't see them in the heat of the moment either, right? Because if we're looking at, like, if this fight is going on, and right now we're looking at, I don't know, it could be that we were watching the Ratio Edge and Nookie fight down here at the same time, then we're gonna miss the knock happening up here in Phase. Therefore, we won't know that this all happened. So we won't get to see it unless if we talk about it afterwards and get an insight on it. Like, it could be that we're watching this thing, right? Instead of seeing the wipe up there. And then Digital doesn't really get credit for them pulling off a really good play because it was never shown. I didn't see the game, so I don't know what was shown and what wasn't. But it's just, I mean, that's why I like to do these things as well, because you catch so much more than by watching it. Yeah, exactly. The NIP fight could have been watched. This could have been watched. But the reaction from Digital Athletics to call it, like to spot it, call it out, and react on it so quickly, that's extremely well done. So well played, Digital. We saw the circle shrink. There's going to be a little bit of a valley thingy you can sit in down here. That's where Chris goes. It's like a little dip you can prone in. Digital goes around the side to... Ooh, that's not what you want to do, guys. Ugh, I hate to see it. You have 3 guys pushing, and Beautiful Death peeks alone and gets flushed without any counterplay. Like, you have Mert and you have Iroh all together. If one gets knocked here... If one gets knocked there, Iroh and Mert, they just continue. Because that means this guy has maybe taken damage or he's reloading and they need to push on it. Because if they don't push, then this guy gets flushed. And that's what happens, and all of a sudden the fight is reset. So that's a unnecessary loss of a player. Because at this point, had they been 4-4-1, that could have been 2 guys holding one side, 2 guys holding the other. Now you're forced to commit 2 to one side and have a solo on the other side. And if Liquid sees that, then they're gonna have such an easy time holding you off. But win and 2nd place for Digital, that is extremely well played. The same 2 teams in top 2 again, just split around. Really impressive play, but I mean, reason I'm not complimenting Liquid is because we've seen them do these things so many times. But positive surprise for me that Digital pulls off so good plays there. Really impressive. Unnecessary to have the solo player die there before, but other than that, extremely well done. Let me just toss it over to game number 3. Demon said that 2-2 split on Circle 6 is bad. And who are we talking about? Face there? Or hey, Ivers. Are we talking about the face position, or was it just a general thing? Like, did he say that it was a bad split for them, or did he say that in general it was bad? Bad. It was a bad position. I can't even speak English anymore. Well, I mean, yes, they split for too long, but when could they ever get together? That's the thing. I mean, I don't want to go back and look at the game again now, but as we said there, when they committed HC and Fuzz Phase to... No, wait. Was it HC and Fuzz Phase? I think it was. To drive around the side and take Wizard. When they committed them to go down and take that spot, that was the death penalty, right? Because Digital, they were holding them in check, and NIP saw that it was a 2-man split, so they could push on them. But at the same time, you cannot sit 4 guys inside those yellow houses. You have 1 door and a half window with... what do you call it, like wooden planks in front of it to peek out from. So how are you going to play that as 4 players? They knew that they have like NIP above them, can't hide in the houses for that long. You're going to be completely pinned in there. And imagine one of the Digital players run over to the Wizard, then they have even less control, right? So you got to do that split. You have to, I mean, you have to split it the way they did. And the players that were, it's just, I mean, one of those bad positions where previous decisions has forced you into not being able to make your way out of it unless if you get like some good knocks or something like that. They're playing passive and moving late. Yeah, I mean maybe that. I think most people play pretty passively, at least if they're allowed to. Most teams wait, what? Most teams only engage if they're forced to, I feel like. Ends out early, they can't go Stelba Kameshki, they go West Coast. Millie. And it's a Western Circle, so still no military games. Maybe we get them today. I don't know why they do. Yeah, there's a good split. Yeah, exactly. The split makes sense, but if you're sitting the way they were with two guys here, so you had face, digital. We'll do like this: digital, NIP. When can they ever not, like, when can they group and where can they group? Because you also have liquid in here. How can they group? Tell me, boys. If you have a good suggestion, I want to hear it. That's why I'm asking you. I'm not trying to be like oh, you're incorrect, I'm right. Because there is always a way to argue for either decision being made. I just want to hear what you guys think. If face is sitting split like this, how can they group up? And where? Because they can't sit 4 guys and a wizard. And they can't sit 4 guys over here either, because they had to cross the road, right? They had to go east or southeast. Exactly. They're in a they had to take out the green team. Okay, so let's rewind and say that okay. Let's say face, they take these 2 players, push back here because they know that NIP are coming down with 4 players. So they want to be 4 over here as well. As soon as they do that, now face is 4 players here up against 4 players in NIP. We have 4 guys here and we have 4 guys over here. As soon as they run back, which they probably couldn't because they get shot at by orange, but let's say they do. Immediately what you see happen is these guys, they aren't going to be 4 guys anymore. They're going to be 3 or maybe 2. Let's just call them 3. And then this guy is going to be 1. And then let's say that these guys get killed off. And let's realistically say that FaZe lose 1 player. So now they're down to 3. How do you push across here with 3 players when this guy is sitting and has all the angles in the world onto you, and as soon as you get over to the other side, all of liquid can spot you as well? It's a rough, it's one of those micro decisions, right? So, but it's a tough, but I agree they should never have been in that position, but it comes down to decisions being made way earlier. When they're splitting like this, it's just, I mean, it's just sometimes the circles don't go your way and you get screwed over by it. There's not a whole lot more to do in those situations. Because they had their house inside and they could just, like, they could see everything. So it's a rough spot to be in. Then they should have sat 2 in each house. I don't know. They did. I mean, Digital played it extremely well. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you shouldn't go back and look at a VOD. That's what I talk with the teams that I talk to as well sometimes. That say it's not necessarily that you guys played something bad, because the idea was good. It's just the fact that the other team played extremely well and they fucked you over. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Sometimes the opponents just played whatever it was, whether it was a fight or rotation. Sometimes they just played it better than you, and that's just how it is. Then you can look to prevent that for another time. But I mean, in those situations, not a whole lot you can do. Base, Novo, Red Diamonds, they want to cross. What does Jokers do here? They're late. Okay, they're going position rather than bridge. Makes sense. Ends go for boat. Red Diamonds stop on the bridge, take control. Now they're crossing. Keep in mind here we have field. 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 Very, very open west side. If Digital didn't push, they would have been stuck between TSM and FaZe next circle. Yeah, I mean, they played it well. They played it extremely well. Ratios goes west coast. We've seen that before. Circle goes back down south. And T2 taking compound. They can always push into the forest. Liquid wraps all the way around south. Makes sense. Goes down, scouts up. 3-way split. 4-way split. Nope, goes back down in. They heard ends, so they don't want to split so wide. Comes back, scouts further forward, new circle pops. And how do you play this one if you're liquid? Imagine this, you have so much control down south and the circle goes away from you. Either you're trying to push up the hills, knowing that TSM is up there somewhere, or you crash it up here and try to take forest control. Because they've heard FaZe, they've heard ends. They don't really have anywhere to go west. If there's a team quarry, then they're fucked. Compound taken. You can't go to the ball. Can't go swarm. Can't go quarry. Up, up, or up. They're all inside my circle. Guys, you can do these things yourself as well. Believe me, and this is one of the main I mean, of course I work with this, but one of the main reasons I do these things is because it makes it so much more fun to watch. Imagine if you're watching chess, right? Now, I'm not the biggest chess fan. I know how to play the game, but I'm not good at it per se. But doesn't chess automatically become, I mean, I'm not saying it's a fun game to watch, but doesn't chess become more fun to watch when you know how the chess pieces move? Like if you just sit and watch it and you don't know anything, then it's like, oh well, that's interesting. But as soon as you know what the figures, like the pieces, can do, then it becomes so much more interesting to watch. And that's what I'm trying to motivate. That's what I'm trying to get the casual PUBG viewer to appreciate about this, because everyone's like, oh, but they don't fight all the time. Oh, but there aren't even 100 players on the server. Oh, there are no red zones. Why aren't they playing Sanhok? Why are the circles so slow? Why do they get so many guns? I mean, all these sort of things, right? I'm just trying to somehow turn them over and say that this is fun. It's not the same, but it's also fun. It's something else. And I respect that people don't understand it because they don't get a chance to try it for themselves. Imagine if the only way that you could play chess or learn chess was to watch others play it. You could never play it yourself. You can never get good at something you can't do, right? Someone can tell you how to play a song on the piano and show how to move your fingers with his fingers, but if you don't get to sit down and do it yourself, how the hell are you ever going to learn? And that's the same with competitive PUBG. Sure, it's the same game, but if you never get to try the settings, if you never get to play against teams that try hard the same way that you want to try hard, then how in the universe are you ever going to learn it and even more so appreciate it? That's just my take on it. And that's one of the things that I think is... It's not killing PUBG, because I don't think PUBG is dying, but it is one thing that could be done that would help grow the scene a lot. Ends, Rustenma, they're trying to push uphill. That's not gonna work. He just comes up, nope, turns around, goes the other way. It is, Heinz, exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. M19 said Gatka scout hilltop, they have to take it on foot. Ooh, maybe they can third party here. They do, and success? Maybe? No? Are they dying? I can't tell. Oh, no, they won, but they lost 2 players. Ah, fair, I guess. Or just add an option to play competitive mode. I don't mind there being casual players. I mean, Counter-Strike wouldn't be what it is today without all the surf maps and Ice World and Pool Day and all those things. I don't mind that. It's just we also want to have the other option of playing competitive. Imagine if you could only play blind pick in League of Legends. That's a good comparison. Imagine if you could only play blind pick in League of Legends and you could only play deathmatch in Counter-Strike. Not deathmatch, but the one where you spawn every time you die. Is that called deathmatch? I forget. Like the one where when you die you spawn again, right? Like immediately after. Imagine if those were the only options. You would never see competitive Counter-Strike or League of Legends. Circle closes, and this is a tricky place to really analyze, and that's why I'm doing more talking about other things right now. Sorry for those of you guys watching on YouTube. You have a hilltop position with red diamonds. They have to sit and hold up everything south, but you can only focus on so much. Jokers, they have a really good spot up here. Sure, they do. Now they get the circle again, so they just move in. And then you have the entire hillside here that's a big downhill towards, well, I mean, Jokers, pretty much. Issue for Windstrike is that they're on the edge. And they will be spotted by all the high ground positions up here. Noogie might be able to hide on the rock. I think there's a rock there of like a couple of bushes on top of each other. I like this play from Joker. So look at what they do. Look at what they do. As soon as the circle pops, they say, you know what? This road is going to be our nightmare. And it's really not, Heinz. It's really not. Because it's a big compound, even for 4 people. It's a big place to hold. And if just one team comes in and you have to focus them, believe me, that's going to be the next team to follow. And what they do here is extremely smart. They see this road and they go, yikes, if we have to cross it. They just go mathematically, how big of a chance do we have to stay? And even more so, because they don't want to push out here. That's just suicide, right? This over here is one big suicide sign. So what you do instead is you go, what are the chances that this is going to be in the next circle? I don't even know the percentage of this, but what are the chances that this is inside the next circle? Well, we can't really do that because no matter how much they're fighting down here, they will just all be able to contain us. So what they do, as soon as they get in here and they realize that nobody is just on the other side, D-Mash pushes over, they hold. As soon as they get the pressure put on towards G2, because G2 were the ones who initially tried to pin them inside, right? By sitting here and holding them. Look what happens. As soon as he clears ground, boom. 3 players cross over. Kemba has the 2-story building. He can sit on the top floor and look over the top of their heads. Picture perfect play. Sure, they got the circle. Sure, they got the compound. But they don't just take it for granted and sit in there and go like, ooh, when is the game over so we can get points? They go out and they go active. I like it. I love it. Well played. Whether they win or not, this 3-man push out from the compound is smart. There's only one 2-story house in the compound, and sure, the position itself is good for the hard cover, but there's only one 2-story house. You can't see a whole lot. You can't help your friends if they're in other houses because you're the same level as them, and now they're getting completely butchered. So that's what it is. But the idea to push out was extremely smart. Red Diamonds just completely wrecked them. Yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, you have the 2-story, and then you have, like, as soon as you go higher than here, there are trees, so you can't see. It's gonna block your vision if you're in the 1-stories. Like, uphill. To some extent, at least. And now Kemba dies in blue. Red play, a great play from Red Diamonds as well. Other remain, yeah, true. But interesting game, And yeah, let's jump over to Miramar, shall we? Game 4. And I'm sorry that we're talking about so many other things today. It's just me who's trying to get into your heads, guys. What it is. Sorry, was just reading something. I have a bad habit of doing that when I'm in the middle of casting for, or like talking to you guys. To analyze, you have to tell. What? You have to tell? What? You can point and wiggle eyebrows to tell us what you think. What do you mean? Oh, to talk. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand you. Joker's strategy and smart moves might pay off soon. Well, we'll see if they make it in or not. We'll see. Okay. Circle pops momentarily. Boom. Do we have any changes, guys? Do you see anything that's new that we haven't seen before? If so, let me know. We need your PUBG wisdom. It's gonna cost you. Do we see anything new in here that we haven't seen before? The answer is no. The only somewhat change would be red diamonds down here, but that's not really, no, that's not a change. No, no changes. Circle pops, and for those of you guys who don't know, rotations would be. And if you want to go down the center path, which I would assume to see Liquid, no, Vitality do, then they would be going up and over here, but make it late. And if they're going early, then stop up here and scout somewhere. Because they know they have Knights up here, they know they have a Liquid down in Picado, and they can't just crash over like crazy people. So I would assume to see them come in late. And the issue up here is that you have San Martin. They could actually go really late and then drive into San Martin and in. It would be unlikely, but there's a chance. No, they go early. So they go south around. Okay. Makes sense. They wait for Liquid to leave. Stop up, scout forward. Boom. Send it in. We'll just slow it down and rewind a bit because we missed like 15 rotations there. Base, they go up, they take high ground. Be right back. Yeah. That was my fiance who got home. So phase, they take high ground. Knight's gonna cross over. Liquid rotates up. See where they can scout forward. Go up here to scout the compound. Now they go 2-2 split. But faces up there and then they build a compound and go into the city. What happens if they change up cause it's week 3 and they don't have points? Who? Yeah, there hasn't really been a whole lot of changes, even after week 1, where teams went. North rotation's coming in, south one's coming in as well. This is an interesting area for an endgame because you have this entire thing blocked off. So should the circle go west again, which it kinda did, then you're limiting rotations on the western side of the circle, and this entire area, as I said before, you can't really access. So that's a pretty big part of the circle that's completely out of the game. Base, they're trying to sit in the compound. Multiple teams have come around. Liquid, they're rotating wisely. Up. Circle goes south. Face rotates under to take the warehouse. They were scouting it and they were just waiting for the circle to pop and immediately moves in. Everybody knows that there are so many teams up here, and that's the issue. That's where the issue comes here, because look at this. We have Windstrike, they never left El Pozo. And you have this entire mountainside that goes something like this. That teams, well, they can rotate up and over it on some areas, but for the most part, you'd have to go either around on the west side or around this way. And since everybody sees knights rotate out, as we see here, in just a short moment. Do they though? Yes, they do. Like they stop and they see them rotate and then they come in after them. TSM goes in and IP comes in. Everybody crashes the city. That's just how you, like, what you gotta do. Not a whole lot more you can do in that situation. Circle's gonna pop. It's gonna exclude this. And it does just exactly. Knights all get wrecked by M19. Everybody's trying to fight their way in on the north. There's not a whole lot to play for here. Vitality forced to smash it into face. They go down. Red Diamonds have a pretty decent spot up top if they can hold it, but seems like they can't. Ends are sitting well in it down south, but now the circle goes back north. And at this point, honestly, this is a pretty big compound. You gotta realize there's just 2 players in there. Like, somebody has to push it. Thank you for trying at least. And now they go over and take it. And 6 miles to leave. It is a crazy circle. It is a crazy circle. But surprising that nobody pushed on the compound here earlier. Base still alive. They played it really smart so far. They're pushing it on foot. Windstrike comes in from behind. Now Navi tries a third party. So Navi saw the knock on face and they thought they were third partying, but now they're just getting fucked over because the fight had reset. So now they're caught in between 2 teams. Windstrike tries to rotate around. That's not working. Oh, as I say that, it actually kind of is. Why is Teeks on a bike all the time? 6 most proning. Battlein is just chilling. He has a circle too. Circle's gonna go dead center. Everyone's forced in the open. Windstrike wins. Good plays from them. Sure, you can say they were in this area already, but they had a wise rotation. Look at this. When this circle happened, they pushed in, scouted, crossed, scouted, crossed, fought, and then they held the entire top side. So well played by Windstrike and get themselves the win. No problem, no problem. So that was game number 4. Again, some of these Miramar games, they are, I don't want to say hard, yeah, they are. Miramar games can seem harder to analyze, but it's mainly because the terrain plays such a big factor, and we don't really get to see the terrain to the same extent that we want to when it's on these type of circles. Oh, on this map. So I consider draw them out for you all the time, but it's gonna be hard to really get the info you want. Reprint. Wind circle. Ends sitting center in this one. At least have a chance to be. Circle's gonna close. Everybody, as we talk about all the time, come in from sides. Las Leones, of course, nobody's gonna be in there. I'm sorry if I'm skipping things here for those of you guys who haven't watched along before, but Las Leones is a big no-no. Teams can sit on the hills around, and teams will be coming in from the north side. And if you're moving over Picado, which you most likely wouldn't be because you have the hillside here, then you'll be coming in late enough that you know that there isn't going to be anyone here anymore. Winland, yeah. My last name is this, so we can just say like that. Could be my last name. I'm Win is my last name, you know. Circle goes south. Now this is a hard one, like really tough one, because for two reasons. One of them being, normally when you have a, like, imagine this circle going up here. Let's just imagine real quick that a circle goes up here, and it's not perfectly round, I know, but let's imagine it goes up there. What you could do is maneuver around and get in from the other side. Okay, this is a bad area because it's the exact same thing. You cannot rotate out here and do this because, well, I mean, there's water here, right? So you cannot do that. But you can still go the other way around and come in from the south. Issue with this shift is you have Los Leones here. That's going to be a big fat no-no for a majority of teams. You won't be able to get... You can go into Los Leones, but you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. So the only way you can get around, since people won't be going down here and taking boats to go around, that would be strange. I wouldn't expect to see it. The only way you can really do that is to go around this way, which means that this entire side of the circle will be completely packed with teams. We'll see how many goes this way in the end, because everyone else is just forced to try and see if what they can do from up here. Like, everyone just tried to hug the beach and make their way around. We got 3 teams going around this side, and everyone else is just crammed up here, because again, nobody wants to be inside of Los Leones. Oh. Circle goes further down south to Porto. Face sitting center. They're getting some good circles face, this game at least. But they played well in the previous ones too. Or the previous Miramar game. I'm drawing hearts so Cloud9 will win more games. I mean, I'm gonna do my best to have Cloud9 do as well as they can. That's all I can say. Wind strikes in the dip. There's a bit of a dip down here. Cluster, and look at this. The teams that came around the south. That's what we're talking about, right? M19 does it, Windstrike does it, and Jokers does it. That's what we talked about. This is the route you have to take. That's not an arrow. This is the route you have to take if you want to get inside the circle. Right? Look at what happens. Let's just keep this in mind. M19, Jokers, Windstrike. Keep that in mind as we close on in. Look at the amount of room they have to maneuver around. Compared to all these teams that have just fought and fought and fought and fought up here. All these teams, they've been fighting like mad people up north. Because things are getting so crammed. And in the meantime, you have Jokers and you have M19 with this much space each, while everyone up here has to start fighting each other. That is pretty interesting. Everyone's fighting. M19, Jokers, again, plenty of room to sit in. Hey, Jorizan. Bonjour to you as well. Bonjour para tu et toi. I don't speak French. I know like small words and then I can try and combine them, but I don't know French. Liquid sitting well in it. Liquid played really well. They won. Holy cow. They had a second place game 1, a win game 2, and now they have a top 4 place again. You're fluent in bonjour only. I know a few other ones that are pretty good. Try to push up third party. M19 able to stay alive. There are 4 teams alive here. That's pretty impressive. What? 1v2. Samty for the win. Good job, buddy. 4 alive in Jokers. M19 alive. I mean, they're just sitting well in it. Smart rotations gives you smart placements. They might not have had a lot of kills with them, but they got themselves the win off of it. Jokers win the game and they stay in 4th place, at least for now. Or 5th, I think. No, I'm unsure. But impressive. Let's see how many kills exactly they did get. Jokers got 9 kills. M19 got 5. Good game. Really good game. And guys, that is going to be it for the games today.